It's late and I'm already in my pajamas. This is usually the point in the day when I talk myself out of making anything. But tonight I taped off a sheet of watercolor paper, grabbed a couple of paints, and gave myself about 15 minutes. No plan, no goal, just a little space to play. And I want to say this right away. This video isn't really about watercolor. I wasn't trying to make finished paintings. I wasn't trying to improve my skills. I just wanted to see what would happen if I showed up even when I'm tired. My intention was to try painting something maybe minimalist, simple and landscapey, without following any references. Just practice, not to sell, not to put on my wall, not to show off to anyone, just to play with some paint and get curious about watching the pigments move around and chill out for a bit. And honestly, the word practice really matters to me and the mindset with how I approach this. I'm a recovering perfectionist, and so it's really easy for me to talk myself out of doing something because I can put the weight of the world on my shoulders before I even start. But practice means that I'm allowed to be imperfect. It means I don't have to prove anything, and I can just show up, try something, and let it be what it is. When I don't remind myself intentionally that this is just practice, when I instead think, oh, I'm making art, all of the expectations that I've got a lifetime of placing on myself to be good all sneak in. The pressure, comparisons, especially to other people who have been doing this way longer than me, and I've got no business comparing myself to them, and why do I want to do that anyway? The voice inside me that wants it to be meaningful or impressive or worth the time, all that sneaks into my head if I don't consciously get it out of my head before I even start. Practice is different because practice says this doesn't have to be good. I just need to do something. It just needs to exist. And that shift for me from performance to practice is what makes it possible for me to keep coming back to trying things like this, even on days when I'm tired. Working small really helps, is what I find at least. Taping off this sheet that's about 11 by 15 inches into 6 sections means I get to work on 6 paintings at a time, and each one is only about 4 by 4.5 inches. Making them small and doing a bunch in one session means nothing has to be precious. It also means I don't get stuck trying to make any one of them work. I don't know about you, but at the end of a long day, I have very few decisions left in my decision bank. So picking just 2 to 3 paints, or heck, even one, reduces the amount of decisions I have to make so I can just unwind, quiet my brain, and relax my body through painting. My hot tip here is to choose a dark color so that you can have dramatic darks and also gentle light shades by mixing with a lot of water or white if you're using acrylic or gouache or something like that. For me, there's something really comforting about removing options, about telling myself this is enough. By the end of the day, my brain is already full. I've made 1,000 tiny decisions and probably quite a few big ones too, at work, at home, for me, for other people. So when I sit down to paint, I don't actually want more choice, even if it feels like I do. This is what I've learned anyway. What I actually want or crave is less noise. So limiting myself to just 1 or 2 colors or a small space on the page or one art material like I'm doing here, it really takes the pressure off in a way that's kind of hard to explain unless you've felt it. I don't have to keep asking myself, what should I do next? Or is this the right decision? Instead, I can just respond to what's in front of me with the really limited options that I have. I can watch the water move around. I can watch the pigment settle. I can see how things interact. And interestingly, when I remove all the other options that I could be adding in, more colors, different materials, pencils, pens, crayons, acrylic paint, Inktense, all of them, if I just strip it down to one material or two, one color or two or three, I often feel more free, not less free, not overly constrained. It really gives my nervous system permission to downshift, is truly how it feels for me. I stop scanning for the best choice and I'm just at peace with the choice I already made at the very start. I'm not sure how many of you can relate to this, but I do fall into the trap sometimes of thinking I need more time than I actually have to be able to sit down to make art. Or I need more or different supplies. Or I need to be in the right mood before I start. Or I need to have a great idea or be inspired. But I'm getting better at learning that none of these things are actually true. They're just stories I tell myself. So taking even 10 or 15 minutes for myself to paint or draw something, even if I'm tired or don't feel inspired even, is my way of slowly retraining that storyteller in my brain. I'm not trying to silence it completely. I don't know if I'd ever be able to do that. I just wanted to stop running the show and have it stopping me from doing things like this. When I'm actually drawing or painting, I feel less anxious, more relaxed, less distracted or restless. By the way, my husband and daughter also notice my mood shift, and they are my number one encouragers to sit and make some art, especially when they notice I'm stressed. Through this practice, I'm also training myself to use nice things without feeling guilty. You don't need professional materials, but at least for me, with watercolors in particular, using good quality paints is so much more satisfying. They're more pigmented, so they're more intense and vivid, and truly a little really goes a long way. And like I mentioned in my last video, even using professional materials, this 15-minute painting session for sure costs less than a glass of wine or a nice coffee. With the small amount of paint it took and a couple bucks worth of good cotton paper, and I don't feel like rubbish the next day. When I started reframing the cost of materials in terms of how much it's actually costing for me to paint something in one session versus other things I might buy myself, especially to de-stress, now it's a no-brainer for me. I'm worth investing a few bucks a day in to help manage my stress and build my confidence and creativity, to unwind and have fun, and I wager that you are too. I think that belief, that retraining of my brain that I'm worth this, or for you, that you're worth this, I think it's something a lot of us are probably still learning how to practice. So this is my way of practicing it and my invitation to you too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you need professional supplies. I'm not saying you need watercolor paints. You could just grab a notepad and a pencil or a pen, something you've already got in your house, and just try drawing something, sketching something, making random marks, scribbling like I did in my last video. Anything that just gives you permission to take some time for yourself and be a little bit creative and try something new. This is really more about the time, taking that time to unwind and just have 5, 10, or 15 minutes just for you. That's really the main focus here. That's my main focus. These are just cute little abstract landscapes, a horizon, a suggestion of light, a feeling more than a place. Some of them feel calm, some feel a little heavy, and that's fine. I'm not asking them to be anything more than a record of 15 quiet minutes that I took for myself at the end of the day. I really try not to think of this as making art. It's too easy for me to get wrapped up in wanting to learn and know all the things and be an artist already. I don't need that pressure. I got the pressures from everywhere else in my life. I certainly don't need any more to add to that load. Instead, I think of this as practicing permission. Permission to play, permission to scribble, permission to try something, permission to make something without needing to justify it. No purpose required. Some days that permission feels easy to give myself. Other days it feels like something I have to consciously give myself again and again, and that's okay too. If you've been waiting until you have more energy, more confidence, or more time, this is your reminder that small counts. It doesn't have to be watercolor. It doesn't have to look like this. It doesn't have to be good. It's just for you, and that's all that matters. You're worth it. I encourage you not to throw your practice drawings or paintings away either, even if at the time you really don't like them. Hold on to them. If you've got some space and some ways to organize them, and again, it doesn't have to be fancy, let them be a record of you prioritizing yourself, learning new things, and being curious. You will see an evolution. You will look back at things you didn't like at the time with fresh, gentler eyes. Trust me on this. Thanks for spending a few quiet minutes with me today. If this kind of quiet, curious, no pressure, permission-based creativity resonates with you, you're very welcome here. And I'll see you next time.